Sunday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, they lost to Oklahoma City 103-101. Kawhi Leonard missed a jumper at the buzzer that would have sent the game into overtime. Clippers coach Ty Lue is back on the job. He had missed the last 6 games with back spasms. The Lakers start a 4-game road trip tonight in Orlando. The Lakers are 3-6 since March 6th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavismiley.show.com. That's thetavismiley.show.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, a conversation with author and social justice organizer Ida Miriam Davis about Equal Pay Day tomorrow and whether a new strategy is needed to protect the rights and lives of black women. We'll do that in our second hour. In our third hour, 2 conversations. Up first, we'll talk to Palestinian Christian theologian Reverend Munther Isaac. Reverend Isaac is director of the Bethlehem Institute of Peace and Justice and the Bethlehem Bible School. He is also author of the provocative new text, Christ in the Rubble. Christ in the Rubble. Faith, the Bible, and the genocide in Gaza should be a spirited conversation with the Reverend Munther Isaac on the top side of hour 3. On the B side of hour 3, Leah Pomp, founder of the Ladylike Foundation, takes us inside her work to inspire young women that is, and celebrates the opening of their new headquarters in South LA as we are in the waning days of Women's History Month. We'll talk about the Ladylike Foundation with Leah Pomp on the B side of hour 3. But in this first hour today, let's talk politics with national organizer and the former president of Color of Change, Rashad Robinson. Rashad, how are you today, sir?
I'm well. It's always good to be with you.
It's always good to hear your voice. Glad to have you on this program. Thank you for your work and witness all these years, and delighted to have you again for this hour. A lot to cover. Let me start with this. We've been talking, it won't surprise you, Rashad, been talking a lot lately, as has the rest of the country, about Chuck Schumer and that move he made a couple of weeks ago doing that 180 on this Republican budget and all the hell that has flowed since then. There have been growing calls for Chuck Schumer to stand down. As I said a few days ago on this program, irony is interesting because it was Chuck Schumer that went to the White House along with Nancy Pelosi to ask Joe Biden to stand down. And now Democrats are calling for Chuck Schumer to stand down. He's the wrong person at the wrong time. As I often put it, he is not the answer to the prayer. So Chuck Schumer canceled all of his book appearances. He didn't want to deal with the protests. They cited security concerns. But this weekend, yesterday, he showed up on Meet the Press and had a couple things to say that I want to share with you, and then Rashad and I will unpack it for you or with you. Let me start with this clip first. This is Chuck Schumer on Meet the Press.
When asked about your future at a town hall, Senator Michael Bennet said, quote, "It's important for people to know when it's time to go." Leader Schumer, are you feeling pressure to step down?
Look, I'm not stepping down. And let me just say this, Kristen. I knew when I cast my vote against against the government shutdown that there'd be a lot of controversy, and there was. But let me tell you and your audience why I did it, why I felt it was so important. The CR was certainly bad, the continuing resolution, but a shutdown would be 15 or 20 times worse. So I thought that would be so devastating to the Republic and anger so many people that we actually went forward with a shutdown which have even worse consequences than the CR. It was a vote of principle. Sometimes when you're a leader, you have to do things to avoid a real danger that might come down the curve. And I did it out of pure conviction as to what a leader should do and what the right thing for America and my party was.
That's Chuck Schumer on why he is not stepping down. You heard him say that doing otherwise on that vote would have angered so many people. I listened to that and I sort of laughed. I mean, is that the standard now? That he's talking in one breath about being a leader and taking positions that you think are principled. And I'm all for living your life. I try to live my life by a certain set of immutable principles. But when your argument is that I didn't do it in part because it was going to anger so many people, what do you think Donald Trump is doing every day? He's angering people every single day. Again, I don't think Chuck Schumer respectfully gets it in this moment. That's just me. We'll take Rashad's temperature in a moment, but that's just me. So I don't think he gets it, given that comment and given what he did a couple of weeks ago. But here's the comment that Chuck Schumer made yesterday on Meet the Press that made me realize he really doesn't get it. Take a listen.
I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to members of your own party who feel like that type of resistance is not meeting the enormity of this moment, this political fight that's required?
Well, I said, that was one day and one line, but we are fighting in every way, in the courts, in oversight, in legislation, in organizing, and we're united. Hakeem and I are united. Our caucuses are united in moving forward on that way. And I think if we fight, as I said, we can make Donald Trump the quickest lame duck in recent history. His Republican colleagues will want to abandon him and will do very, very well in the 2026 elections.
Oh, Lord, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. I told you last week, this new book coming out by two New York Times reporters where Chuck Schumer said to these reporters before the election that he believed that Republicans were going to get rid of the turd, that's what he called him, the turd Trump. He thought they were going to expel Trump and that the Republican Party would return to the party of old. It'd be the old GOP again. They're going to kick out, they're going to do away with the turd Trump, and they'll return to the old GOP. That's what he said to these reporters in advance of last year's election. Tone deaf like nobody's business, right? But that was then. So even after all of this, you just heard Chuck Schumer from Meet the Press yesterday say he still believes that they can make Donald Trump the quickest lame duck president ever, and that Republicans will then abandon him. He is still stuck on stupid. He doesn't get it. Rashad Robinson when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SUNNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SUNNY to 200-300. That's SUNNY to 200-300. SUNNY to 200-300.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Stories are power. The Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project is an effort to collect, preserve, and amplify stories of Black land loss. It will form an invaluable resource for scholars, authors, historians, educators, storytellers, policymakers, and change agents who wrestle with issues of restitution, reparations, racial inequality in home ownership, and the racial wealth gap. Through documenting stories of Black land loss, the archive will help demonstrate the magnitude of what Black families have lost and will continue the national dialogue to encourage paths to restitution, rebuilding, and healing. Support the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project by visiting www.blacklandlost.org or by donating at www.blacklandlost.org/donate. Spread the word to inspire awareness, activism, leadership, and change. And join us in making a lasting impact. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Rashad Robinson. In case you've just tuned in, I'm going to play this clip for you one more again, because I know you may have found it hard to believe that Chuck Schumer actually said this yesterday on Meet the Press. I told you a few days ago in this new book coming out this week, I think. Comes out tomorrow, as a matter of fact, Tuesday. Yeah, tomorrow. It's called Madhouse, a book written by two writers for the New York Times. Chuck Schumer spoke to these reporters in advance of the election, and he clung to the belief that Republicans were going to expel Donald Trump. That was his belief, believe it or not. He thought, been in politics all these decades, and he thought, he's delusional. He thought Republicans were going to expel Trump and that the party would return to the old GOP. He is more than just an institutionalist. As I said, he is delusional. That's what he said to reporters months ago in advance of the election. Now, given all that he's seen and all that we've seen, and he's seen a whole lot more because he is the minority leader, he's in this scenario. He's a leader in this every single day. So he sees and knows a whole lot more than I see or know sitting in this chair in this studio. And even after all that, he still had this to say yesterday on Meet the Press.
I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to members of your own party who feel like that type of resistance is not meeting the enormity of this moment, this political fight that's required?
Well, I said, that was one day in one line, but we are fighting in every way, in the courts, in oversight, in legislation, in organizing, and we're united. Hakeem and I are united. Our caucuses are united in moving forward on that way. And I think if we fight, as I said, we can make Donald Trump the quickest lame duck in recent history. His Republican colleagues will want to abandon him and will do very, very well in the 2026 elections.
Okay, he and Hakeem are not united. Put a pin in that. We'll get to that a little bit later in this hour. But first, Rashad Robinson, again, good to have you on this program. I don't need to color this, pardon the pun, don't need to color this much more for you. What did you hear and what did you make of what you heard?
It's the same old Chuck Schumer, and we are not in the same old moment, right? And the fact of the matter is Schumer might be good at raising money for his Senate colleagues, and that's why he gets to be leader. But actually, in a moment of building true opposition, we need someone that's more than simply a fundraiser. We need someone that can actually galvanize, create strategy, and move us forward. Tavis, when I met with Schumer right after Donald Trump was elected the first time, so this is back in 2016, 2017, the end of 2016, early 2017, before the inauguration.
Right.
And I met with Chuck Schumer along with some other progressive leaders, racial justice leaders. We met with him in his New York City office on the East Side, and we went up there and we were concerned about a bunch of things. We were concerned about the stolen Supreme Court seat. That didn't go to Merrick Garland. We were and what would happen now that Trump had this seat? Mm-hmm. We were concerned about Jeff Sessions, who was nominated for Attorney General, a known racist, right? And we were concerned about a number of things. And Chuck Schumer said a couple of things to us then that have always been seared in my mind. So I didn't have any illusions that he was going to be anything different moving forward. He said to us that the filibuster for Supreme Court judges was safe because there was enough Republicans in the United States Senate to be able to hold the filibuster, that 60 vote margin that is required in order to get a Supreme Court justice over the line. And he named Orrin Hatch and other senators as the people who he knew would protect that filibuster. And what we know now is that filibuster did not even last long enough for the ink to dry on the notes of my meeting with Chuck Schumer, that Orrin Hatch and everyone caved to Mitch McConnell. They got rid of that filibuster, and then he would call these Republican senators institutionalists when he knew that they didn't even give Merrick Garland a meeting just a few months before. Then he talked about working out with Jeff Sessions in the gym and that he had a good relationship with Jeff Sessions. They worked out in the gym and they were buddies. and what's been happening inside the Republican Party and inside of the halls of Congress for years has somehow been very clear to so many of us, but has bypassed the leader of the Democratic Party. The shifts in how the Republicans see power, are willing to take power, and are willing to rip apart every sort of piece of our institutions in order to hold on to it. And the fact of the matter is that he didn't get it, and so many others around him didn't get it, and have allowed themselves to lean into this magical thinking. It has put all of us in harm's way.
Yeah. How is it? I'm not even asking this, but how is it at this point that he could be, again, I'm trying to find another word for delusional, but how can he have this mindset, again, where he believes that they can make Donald Trump a quick lame duck president, given all that he's doing as swiftly as he's doing it? And if they do, in fact, make him a lame duck president, but he's gotten all this other stuff done before they get to that, what difference will it make anyway, number one? But number two, that he still believes they can make him a quick lame duck president. He still believes that Republicans are going to turn against this guy. Where is he getting this? I'm not asking you to speak for him, but can you imagine how he could possibly believe this?
Republicans are getting everything they've always wanted much quicker than they've always wants it. The fact of the matter is Donald Trump is implementing Project 2025. And you and I talked about Project 2025 before the election. And so this is not just Donald Trump. This is the Republic infrastructure. The Project 2025 was built by the Heritage Foundation. It was backed by the biggest donors in the Republican Party, fueled by the largest organizations. This is not just Donald Trump sitting off to the side. Donald Trump is the Republican Party. He's the leader of the Republican Party. And so the fact of the matter is that you're continuing to try to divorce the two is not good for our organizing and our advocacy, but it's not operating in reality. And to the question of sort of why does Schumer sort of exist this way? He exists this way because the other Democrats in the Senate allow him to. He is their elected leader. He is their elected leader, and as long as he's in charge because the other Democratic senators are allowing him to be in charge. So the question isn't just about Schumer stepping down. It's who do we put in his place, and when do the other Democrats in the Senate step up? Because this existential crisis that we are in will not be solved by someone who simply does not get that we are already there. He keeps talking about polling numbers going down. Donald Trump doesn't lead on polling numbers. He never has led on polling numbers. And the fact that we're paying attention to polling numbers is absolutely ridiculous, because even on our side, we don't always operate our values on polling numbers. We care about things on the left that don't necessarily poll well with the majority of Americans. And Donald Trump sure as hell doesn't care about polling numbers. So I say all of that to say that we just have someone that is not right for the times. And the fact of the matter is that will only change if members of the Democratic Senate caucus actually get together and decide they want new leadership.
So put a pin in that for a second. I'm going to come back to the members of the Democratic caucus in the Senate and this issue of new leadership. I'll come to that in just a second, I promise. Two things I want to do in front of that. The first is this. Michael Steele, who is a frequent guest on this program, co-host of The Weekend on MSNBC, as you know, former chair of the Republican Party, the first and only African-American to be chair of the Republican Party, former lieutenant governor of Maryland. Yeah, that Michael Steele. Michael Steele has a piece right now that I want to invite you to check out when you get a chance. It's on MSNBC.com's website. It's his op-ed, and the headline is, "Dear Chuck Schumer, the old Republican Party is never coming back." This is the guy who was the chair of the party, Mr. Schumer, writing a piece addressed to Dear Chuck Schumer, "The old Republican Party is never coming back." Michael Steele says in this piece, and I quote, "The old Republican Party is gone. It sold its soul to Trump in return for 2 presidencies and 3 Supreme Court seats." Ouch. The old Republican Party is gone. It sold its soul to Trump in return for 2 presidencies and 3 Supreme Court seats. Here's why I'm laying on this a little bit longer, Rashad Robinson, because when Republicans are telling you that the party, that the GOP is never going to return to what it once was, this is Republicans saying that. And it's not just, it's Michael Steele writing this piece, but we have seen this, we've seen this story. This story's been developing long enough for us to know that there are so many Republicans who can't stand Donald Trump. There were so many Republicans who came out and endorsed and campaigned with Kamala Harris, and I mean beyond Liz and Dick Cheney. My point is simply this. If Chuck Schumer is paying attention, even Republicans understand that he has been an existential threat to their party. They understand with the pick of J.D. Vance. They understand with Elon Musk on the scene now. This party is never going back to the way it was. Republicans will tell you that, but Chuck Schumer still believes that there is a moment that we're going to get to some magical space or place where the old GOP is going to show up. They're going to expel Donald Trump, and everything is going to be the way it used to be. I don't know how he's stuck in that particular place, but you got Republicans, Rashad, even telling us now that party is gone. It ain't never coming back.
they're telling us not just in the way that Michael Steele laid that out, they're also telling us in their actions. Mm-hmm. You mentioned J.D. Vance. He's a perfect example. Here you have a man that called Donald Trump every kind of name that would be absolutely kind of horrible to us think about. He compared him to Hitler. And then he's willing to change his stance, not just a little bit, not just to vote for him, but to be his number one lieutenant. Donald Trump has been able to remake the Republican Party in his image. And those that can't be part of his vision have actually had to leave or go someplace else. And those that want to be part of the game have stayed around and have engaged and have almost become super fans of Donald Trump. And that, I think, is really important, that Chuck Schumer, and I think the way that, not only the way that he is showing up, but his analysis of the landscape is incredibly dangerous. You know, the idea that he thinks that things are going to get really bad when it's gotten really bad on the other side of this legislation is a recognition that he doesn't understand how bad they already are and how bad they're about to become as Donald Trump has been able to implement and put in place. And I know that the courts have been able to slow things down here and there, but the courts have been set up to the top court, that over time, over these next couple of months, we're going to see the chipping away of even the kind of veneer or the idea at the courts. And so the most that we have in our favor is to build a true opposition movement, not a resistance movement. Resistance movements lose all around the world. Opposition movement, and what I mean by the difference between an opposition movements have leaders that are not just talking about what we are against, but what we are fighting for. They are charting a credible path for them actually being in charge and being leaders. And right now, no one, not even in our own party, trusts Chuck Schumer to be a true opposition leader, to chart a path for the future. He's basically asking us to all sort of lay in the road and play turtle and hope that we don't get run over. In hopes that once the car goes by, we might be able to get to the other side of the road. And that's just simply not a path for this moment. And I think that is why, you know, for people who are listening, you should be asking if you have a Democratic senator, you should be asking them where they stand on this. Yeah. And it's not just that they believe that we should fight, it's why is their elected leader not leading them towards a fight?
Yeah, I think if you were to probe or to poll Nikki Haley or any other Republicans who stood on stage, I was going to say with Donald Trump. I forgot he never showed up for those debates. But if you poll any of those Republicans who were running for that nomination, I think they would tell you, and they would tell Chuck Schumer, the old GOP is gone, never, ever to return. Only Chuck Schumer believes that they're going to expel Donald Trump, they're going to turn on Donald Trump, and the old GOP is going to show up again. It ain't going to happen. I digress on that. I want to pick up on Rashad's point about opposition leaders versus resistance leaders. We'll talk about Hakeem and Chuck being united as Chuck sees it. We'll talk about his you saw that rosy picture he painted about 2026. I don't see it as rosy as Chuck Schumer does. We'll talk about that. And these other Democrats in the Senate who have to do something about Chuck Schumer just as he did about Joe Biden. A lot more to cover with Rashad Robinson when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Progressive presents a testimonial of sorts.
Hey, slow down!
Oh, yeah? Well, you drive like my grandma. She's a very attentive and courteous driver who wears a seatbelt and always uses her turn signals. She's also a talented painter and has very low cholesterol. Not that that has anything to do with her drive. We just thought a more complete picture of who she is might be interesting. Anyway, have a nice day.
Safe driver? Get Snapshot from Progressive and get a personalized rate based on how you drive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Supreme Court will address the Trump administration's deportation flights. Bondi accused a federal judge of overstepping his authority and vowed to continue fighting the judge's order blocking deportations. Courtney Merritt's, the husband of Black former Congresswoman Cori Bush, is charged with wire fraud for allegedly defrauding federal pandemic relief programs. He plans to plead not guilty. Top Democrats are urging the Trump administration to reverse its plan to eliminate the Department of Education, arguing it does important work for students, families, and educators. They sent a letter to Education Secretary Linda McMahon. And a new study found that young marijuana users under 50 are over 6 times more likely to have a heart attack than non-users. They are also more likely to experience heart failure and ischemic stroke. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The UCLA women's basketball team is moving on to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. UCLA, the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, beat Richmond Sunday night 84-67. 30 points and 14 rebounds for Bruins center Lauren Betts. The Bruins will play Mississippi, the number 5 seed, Friday night in Spokane, Washington. Juju Watkins and USC, the number 1 seed in Regional 4, are back in action tonight. USC plays Mississippi at 7 p.m. at the Galen Center. You can catch the game live on ESPN. The Clippers' 5-game winning streak ended Sunday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. They lost to Oklahoma City 103-101. Kawhi Leonard missed a jumper at the buzzer that would have sent the game into overtime. Clippers coach Ty Lue is back on the job. He had missed the last 6 games with back spasms. The Lakers start a 4-game road trip tonight in Orlando. The Lakers are 3-6 since March 6th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323 577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one. Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Rashad Robinson, renowned national organizer who I'm honored to have on this program. Rashad, I'm getting all kind of messages. I see all kind of people talking about that frame that you offered us to consider in this particular and peculiar American moment of resistance leaders versus opposition leaders. Resistance versus opposition. All kind of folk turned on by the frame you put us in. For those who may have just tuned in, just unpack that one more time, what the difference is between a resistance leader and an opposition leader, and we'll jump from there, sir.
Resistance is not a bad thing in some moments, but resistance is not about taking over leadership. It is not creating a sensible path for people that you can lead. It is about sort of standing and holding firm against things, trying to stop the very worst things. If we are going to take back power, if we are going to build a type of coalition that's big enough to be able to not just take back power, but to be able to do the type of things that make people's lives better, then we have to build an opposition movement. And that means creating a credible understanding of what we are for, what our values, what we would do when we are in charge, telling a really credible story of what's been standing in the way of change. And so, this past election, because of the existential threat of Donald Trump, the Democrats in some ways became the folks defending institutions which have failed for people and not actually talking about it. So the Democrats became the people defending the FBI to black people, defending, education and health care. And it doesn't mean that we want to destroy the Department of Education or we want to destroy our health care. What it means is that we actually have to have a real conversation about how those systems have not been working and what we will do to actually make them better and what type of pieces of infrastructure, whether it be corporate power or other things, have been standing in the way of that type of change. Because we don't tell a credible story, Donald Trump can absolutely fill that story in with immigrants. He can fill that story in with black people, with women's equality, with the 0.00% of trans kids that want to play sports. They fill that in with all of those pieces, and that in many ways is part of our problem. And then we come off of this election and we're like, resist, resist, resist. Well, people are tired. People want leadership in this moment. And what we actually need is to be able to talk about what we will do once we're in charge, what we will do about healthcare, what we will do about the economy, not just about we are going to tax billionaires, but what we will do once we tax those billionaires and where those investments will go and how those investments will make all of us better. That getting specific with people will be incredibly clear, and that is the difference, in my opinion, between opposition and resistance. And we see resistance to authoritarian regimes all around the world. And what oftentimes happens is those resistance movements lose because they don't in any way have sort of a credible pathway for us to win. And between 2016, Donald Trump's election between Donald Trump's first election and Joe Biden's election, I don't believe we built an opposition movement. I think we got to a resistance movement, and we got to a strong resistance movement. And if it wasn't for COVID, I don't know if Donald Trump would have not been. I think Donald Trump would have been reelected if it wasn't for COVID. But Joe Biden walked away from that election believing that he won this election. He told us one term. He was going to be a one-term president and reneged on that and went to go run again, right? He believed things about the electorate and about the story that was told to people and did not have the forces and the power behind him. Chuck Schumer believed something about his own ability and what he was able to do in terms of the United States Senate, and didn't have enough power to force Manchin or Sinema to do anything. The fact that he couldn't force Manchin or Sinema to vote on things that were widely popular for the American people, and then comes around and tells us that he's going to somehow convince Republicans to do something. Like we actually have to just be able to, call these things out and to be very specific when, good men who are not right for the time are no longer the people that can lead us.
Yeah.
The question is that the Senate is full of a bunch of other leaders, people who want to be president, people who want to move up to cabinet posts one day, people who want to have all sorts of other roles in our government and in leadership. And now is the time, if they actually care about holding on to any semblance of democracy, any semblance of possibility for those things, for them to step up and make sure that these infrastructures are doing everything they can to not just hold the line, but to move us forward.
Yeah, nobody's saying that Chuck Schumer needs to go home. He may be a fine senator for the state of New York. He just needs to stand down, I believe, from being the minority leader. He is not an opposition leader. He keeps making these statements that make it abundantly clear that he just doesn't get it. And more to the point, it's not that he just doesn't get it. He's out of alignment with the Democratic base. That's the real issue here. He's out of alignment with Democratic voters. Every time he says that he believes they're going to expel Donald Trump and the GOP of old is going to return, it's nonsense. I want to play this clip one more time because I want to get right to this point about his rosy outlook that is for 2026. But you have to hear the clip where he talks about it. Play it one more again, Miles.
I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to members of your own party who feel like that type of resistance is not meeting the enormity of this moment, this political fight that's required?
Well, I said, that was one day in one line, but we are fighting in every way, in the courts, in oversight, in legislation, in organizing, and we're united. Hakeem and I are united. Our caucuses are united in moving forward on that way. And I think if we fight, as I said, we can make Donald Trump the quickest lame duck in recent history. His Republican colleagues will want to abandon him and will do very, very well in the 2026 elections.
We will do very, very well in the 2026 elections. What is he seeing? I don't see it, Rashad. Maybe you see it. You tell me. What is Chuck Schumer looking at that makes him believe in this moment that we will do very, very well in the 2026 elections?
I don't even know if he's looking at the Senate map for the 26 election.
Exactly.
And the fact that it is absolutely stacked against the Democrats. That they would have to be able to win in places that they haven't won in 20 or 30 years, and certainly haven't won since a black man became president. And so the idea that, he's just in some ways, I think, grasping. And the fact of the matter is, right, Chuck Schumer had a couple of weeks since the disaster around the resolution to actually get his narrative and his messaging together. And this is what he showed up on Sunday with, on Meet the Press.
Yeah.
This is what the best minds around him helped him develop. This is just another example of why he's not quite right for this moment, is that, given all of the outrage, given all of the pushback, given all of the ways in which he's fully aware that it's not he's not hitting the mark, that he couldn't actually figure out something different to say, that he couldn't figure out a different narrative to move.
Nope. I take your point, and you put your finger on it quite nicely. He had 2 weeks to get his narrative right. He should have realized over the last couple of weeks that what he said then ain't working. 2 weeks to get his narrative right. He shows up on Meet the Press yesterday. In case you, again, just tuned in, that clip was from Meet the Press yesterday. He shows up on Meet the Press, and he's singing the same tune. Something is wrong. And here's the real problem for me. When politicians get myopia, Chuck Schumer could see very clearly that it was time for Joe Biden to step aside. But he has a blind spot when it comes to Chuck Schumer. He saw very clearly it was time for Joe Biden to go home, but he doesn't see it for himself. That's the definition of myopia. We'll talk about that part. We'll talk about Senate Democrats stepping up. And this point, he keeps making that Hakeem and he are in alignment. Not really. Hakeem went one direction on the Republican budget. You went the other direction. So this notion that you all are united, you weren't united 2 weeks ago. So that just happened like overnight. Much more to talk about with Rashad Robinson when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Rashad Robinson, who we are delighted to have on this program on our first hour today, talking about a variety of things, but mostly the news of the day, that Democrats are increasing their calls for Chuck Schumer to stand down, just as Chuck Schumer went to the White House and told Joe Biden it was time for him to stand down. But Chuck Schumer said yesterday on Meet the Press, I ain't going nowhere. I am not resigning. I am not stepping down. That's a direct quote. I'm not stepping down. He said again yesterday on Meet the Press. So, Rashad, this notion that there are other Democrats that could step up in this moment, I think, is real. I don't know who that person off the top of my head. I mean, obviously I know all these persons in the Senate. You have any thoughts about who might be a better leader for this moment of the ones we have to choose from? Let's just put it that way. Of the ones that we have to choose from in the Senate, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think this is tricky. We need someone that can narrate publicly what's happening. We need someone that is going to have enough respect from the other members. And there's folks like Chris Murphy in Connecticut, Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts. There's a number of folks that we've seen speaking out and pushing back that can, articulate a vision to the public. And I think there'll be others that might step up in this moment. But I do think that the Democrats do need to get themselves together and figure out who they want. And that is also part of what it means to be an opposition movement. It means that it's not just about Chuck Schumer going, but it's about who do we put in his place, and then what are the new sort of guiding principles. Chuck Schumer has lived by a set of guiding principles. As someone that has met with him a number of times, both in his Capitol Hill office and in here and in New York where I live, and spent a lot of time. And sometimes worked with him to get things over the line, like the Martha Wright Prison Phone Justice Act, right? Chuck Schumer, during different times could make things happen. And it is okay for us to then realize that this particular time we're in may not be suited to his skills and expertise, and hopefully finding a way for him to be able to create space for the next leader to be able to step up and take over the Senate and lead the Senate Democrats forward. Time is of the essence in this moment. Every single day that we wait and we don't have sort of the type of energy and focus from the Democrats, we lose. But to everyone who's listening, whether it's your House representative or whether it's your Senate, we can't wait on our elected officials to lead us. Yeah. And so my encouragement is also to get involved and get engaged in local advocacy and organizations, to get involved in national advocacy and organizations, to raise your voice in your community and push back in powerful ways. Elected officials will always be behind what we are doing. They're never going to be as far out front as we're going to be, and we're going to have to lead them. Yeah. And so my other encouragement is that we can't be sitting around asking ourselves where our Democrats and elected officials are. There will be voices that will make us proud. There will be voices that will speak truth to power, and we should have left those elected officials who are doing that. But at the same time, we have to stand up for ourselves in this moment, and we have to not sit around and wait for elected officials to do something that elected officials are always late to do.
There are two pieces I'm inviting you to read today when you get a chance. The one I mentioned earlier is entitled Dear Chuck Schumer, The Old Republican Party is Never Coming Back. That's by Michael Steele, former chair of the RNC. That's on MSNBC.com. Even Republicans are telling Chuck Schumer, you're wrong. The old GOP is gone, brother. Another piece in The Nation magazine I recommend you read called Chuck Schumer is the Weakest Link. Chuck Schumer is the weakest link. That's in The Nation. When we come forward, I want to put a question to Rashad. Never mind what he just said. I heard every word. I heard every word of it, as did you. But I had somebody walk up to me over the weekend and say to me, Tavis, why are all three former Democratic presidents so eerily silent in this moment? We've heard nothing from the Obamas, nothing from the Clintons. Joe Biden, of course, just left. But in a moment where, if we really are in crisis mode, there are three former Democratic presidents. Where are they? And might it make a difference if they all got together, for example, and wrote an op-ed together for the New York Times or something? What are they saying or feeling in this moment? We'll put that to Rashad Robinson when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed, and I'm glad about it. Our guest in this hour has been Rashad Robinson. We got 4 minutes left here. There's a piece I'm reading right now. The headline: Joe Biden wants back in. With the Democratic Party struggling to find a new direction, former President Joe Biden and former First Lady Jill Biden have offered to jump in and help with fundraising and rebuilding. We are told in this story that Joe Biden had a private meeting with Ken Martin last month ahead of the DNC now, offering his help. So far, that overture seems to have fallen flat. But it does raise a question. I understand the protocol. I said to this person, Rashad, this weekend, who asked me why these former Democratic presidents are being eerily silent in this moment where we're losing our democracy. There is a protocol that past presidents try to stay out of the business of present presidents, and yet this is a different moment, Rashad, as you said earlier. And so what would you have said to this person who asked me why these former Democratic presidents are so silent in this moment of existential crisis?
I don't think we need them right now.
Fair enough.
I would say that I do think we're looking at the wrong places for the type of leadership that we need in this moment. And I have tremendous respect. But those folks were all change candidates. And what I mean by it, they were trying to change within the rules, within the sort of framework. So was George W. Bush, as an example. They were all change candidates. Mitt Romney, change candidate. They were trying to change inside of the framework. Donald Trump was a change the rules candidate. And that's a different type of archetype that actually requires a different type of engagement. And I very much do believe that we are in a change the rules environment. So whoever becomes the sort of focus and the voice of this new moment on the left, I believe also will have to deal with the rules of healthcare, the rules of education, the rules of the economy, the rules of so many systems that are simply not working for people. And no matter what anyone on either side of the aisle tells you, like, they can't be like tinkering around the edges because people just don't accept or believe that that's going to be meaningful in their lives. People don't want what Donald Trump is doing right now, but people also did not want the status quo either. And so the fact of the matter is, I just simply think, like, yes, would it be nice for these folks to write an op-ed, but who's reading that and who's responding? Donald Trump beat all of those folks. And while he didn't beat Obama at the polls, because he never ran against Obama, Trumpism has beaten Obamaism. And the fact of the matter is that we're going to need something forward. I'm watching these big rallies with AOC and Bernie. I'm watching the energy that folks are giving to Jasmine Crockett and other young members of Congress. And I know new things will emerge. And then hopefully when those new things emerge, the leaders of old will have the humility to bless it, to support it, to raise money for it, to get behind it. And I think that is the best way. Asking those people to step up with an op-ed in this moment is simply not how we're living, and I don't think will change anyone's mind who is not already with us.
You recall a year ago, I kept saying that I'd seen this movie before, and my phrase was, I ain't going, he's gone. That turned out to be true for Joe Biden. It may very well be true for Chuck Schumer. I ain't going, he's gone. We will see if in the days ahead Democrats in the Senate decide they need a new leader. We'll keep following the story, of course, as it warrants. Rashad, thank you for your insights. As always, my friend, we'll do it again. All the best to you, sir.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you more. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Supreme Federal Judge of overstepping his authority and vowed to continue fighting the judge's order blocking deportations. Courtney Merritt's the husband of Black former Congresswoman